Thanks for joining me in this podcast about the ABCs of networking. Let's get started by taking the first steps. All right, so you can take action. So that would be the A portion of the ABCs here is taking action, taking some first steps and building your brand. Okay, so this whole networking process is about building your brand and personalizing your brand with all those that you come in contact with. Okay, so some steps to do that. You want to probably start by updating your resume and making sure that your resume is an assessment of where you're at right now in your career. Okay, don't be frustrated if you don't have a lot of content, but use this as an opportunity to build up your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So do both of those. So many employers today are looking at LinkedIn profiles first, right? So they have a resume, they're interested, they'll go right to your LinkedIn profile. So don't lag behind on your LinkedIn profile. So how do you connect with your target company? All right, whether it's through resume or LinkedIn, it's deeper than that connection through those two different points. Okay, so some of you are viewing networking events. Others are looking at job boards. I see an increasing number of students that are moving towards just focusing on job boards and not networking events. Okay, so they're focusing on looking at Indeed or Glassdoor or Monster. And I think there's merit in balancing that out with networking events. But in the end, when you find yourself going through what keywords should I use, what buzzwords should I use, and how should I integrate these buzzwords and keywords throughout my resume, how do I get attention? You're spending a lot of energy on trying to understand the algorithms that are going to get you a connection. It's so much easier to go to the networking events where you're able to actually make a connection with somebody there at your target company. Okay, so whether it's a summer internship, a full-time position, it all starts with a conversation, getting to that conversation. That's why I prefer a networking event where you are able to go ahead and make that conversation, get to that first conversation. Okay, so how do you start that conversation? You do that with topics of interest. And today, there's so many current events that are out there, and I prefer current events as topics of interest because they're common. So today, especially with the pandemic, the effects of the pandemic, e-commerce, or potentially the chip shortage and the impacts it's having on our economy today. These are all great topics of interest. So if you're really interested in a company, find out what's impacting them. What are the external factors that are impacting that company? Start connecting through a conversation with these topics of interest and asking good questions. What this does is this develops a competency. In other words, as a company, I now view you as somebody who's done their research, they've done their homework, they've come in, they've been prepared. And this tells me a little bit about yourself as an applicant, that you have the desire for a job. Okay, so all of this work that you're doing in advance helps to create this desire for a potential job in the future. So you're trying to move towards this conversation. And the conversations during an interview is not a promotional event. This is not a promotional event about you. This is about having a conversation. This is about asking good questions. It's about listening and showing a bit of humility in how you listen and how you respond, and how do you connect to how that employer frames up questions and frames up the questions that you have. Okay, so confidence improves with preparation and experience. So do prepare. Spend your time researching and preparing for these experiences, these networking events. And it's going to help you with your self-confidence. All right, so this is all about your willingness to show desire and to show that you're willing to put in that effort. So an interview is merely a touch point in this process. So look at networking as something you're going to do for the rest of your life. Okay, so an interview is just a milestone, a touch point in this. So before and after you interview, connect with the company, your recruiter, somebody from the organization, especially afterwards. And LinkedIn is a great way to go ahead and do that. And do ask your connection, the recruiter, the manager, if it's okay that you connect with them on LinkedIn after the interview. But continue to engage within your network. All right, so as you build your network, it's important you continue to stay connected and engage with that network. It's never too early or too late to get started in this process. So if you're an early student, an emerging student, don't worry, get started on the process now. If you're late into it, don't worry, get started. One thing to remember about this process is that it's never too late to get started. So let's review those ABCs of networking. Number one, take action. Okay, don't wait. Take action now. Make this process about building your brand, and understand that you're constantly working on building your brand through the activities that you're engaged in, your connections, your network. Make your interview about a conversation, finding current events, topics of interest that allow you to connect with that organization. Do the research. You show your desire for that organization by doing the necessary research to connect you with that company, and then engage and continue to follow up. So one question would be at the end of the interview, what are my next steps? How long should I wait? And then do engage, do follow up at the end of that interview process. So know that this is all part of network building. Networking is a part of a healthy career. It doesn't matter what field you choose to go in. Networking is a big part of that. Okay. So as you go through this process, understand if you haven't done it, take the first step. Start with small steps today. This is Mark Spielis. Make it a great day.